Los Angeles Clippers, who played the Phoenix Suns in their home opener at their new dome on Wednesday. With Kawhi Leonard out, James Harden shot 10 of 28 from the field, collected 12 rebounds, 8 assists in 40 minutes. The veteran had a chance to further extend the game to a second overtime period, but missed the second of 2 free throw attempts that would have tied the game. Brian Windhorst is here. Hey, Wendy.
Good morning.
Morning, morning. Stephen A., I'll start with you. What's the future of Harden and the Clippers?
At best, a first-round exit from the playoffs. And that's just being nice because I'm in a very good mood. I don't want to hurt their feelings. I mean, I looked at the Intuit Arena, which is pretty spectacular, by the way. I would encourage everybody to go see it. But I damn sure can't sit here and say the same about the Clippers. It's not much to cheer about. When you think about Paul George being gone, when you think about the worst superstar in the history of the sport, that is Kawhi Leonard, sitting on the bench, and then all you have to rely upon is James Harden and a bunch of other parts that are to be respected, the Powells of the world, the James Hardens of the world, the Terrence Manns of the world. These guys, they can play. They're not scrubs or anything, and I applaud the coaching staff and what have you. But we know what this is supposed to be about. It was supposed to be Kawhi Leonard's team. And anytime you make that kind of decisions, it's an unmitigated disaster that's en route. It's just that simple. Because number one, he's going to be hurt half the time. And number two, he's going to do absolutely positively nothing to promote your franchise or the sport. And we saw evidence of that yet again last night. In the end, it's about James Harden being the face of this franchise at this particular moment in time, except as good as he is, because he is good, he's not the James Harden that existed in Houston all of those years. That was one of the most prolific scorers we've ever seen in the history of the game. Shot 10 of 28 from the field last night. There were several times, Brian, when I saw Terrence Mann and Powell and others open, but he was dribbling the basketball and didn't necessarily get it to them. And that's the thing. You see guys jumping around, asking for the ball. Sometimes he makes it. Sometimes he makes the right play. Sometimes he doesn't. That's not a crime. But in the end, for us to be here in Los Angeles, California, for the Clippers to be opening a new arena, and for us to have to look forward to James Harden being the face of the franchise at this particular moment in time, I look at the Clippers as being a team. They could be a 500 team. They could be an 8th seed. They could get to the play-in, potentially to the playoffs for the first round. But we know better than expecting more than that, Wendy.
Something interesting happened last night, Stephen A., and you didn't see it because you were out on the countdown set was out of the arena.
Right.
You were working. They announced it's opening night, so they announced the entire roster of the team. They announced the two-way guys and everything. Everybody's out there, and the billion-dollar scoreboard and everything's going on, and it was cool. There's some cool stuff about this arena, which we can talk about later.
Yeah.
They didn't announce Kawhi. Kawhi was there. You saw him on the bench in those clips. Mm-hmm. They didn't announce him. I don't know for sure why they didn't announce him. I have a guess. Right. My guess is they didn't want to be booed.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm telling you. That's exactly where I was going.
Okay.
That's exactly where I was going.
So just to be clear, I didn't ask Steve Ballmer why not. I don't know for sure, but they didn't announce him. And then the way this game played out, what you saw, guys, was it was very competitive. The Clippers had the lead in the fourth quarter. James Harden put up huge numbers. And in the end, the better team won because they've got more talent. I suspect we're going to see this game play out this way for the Clippers a lot until Kawhi can potentially come back, because the Western Conference, pretty much every team they play is going to have better talent. And yeah, there might be nights where James Harden's a little hotter than he was last night from shooting, but basically you're going to see James Harden dominating the ball, trying to make plays, and he's going to make plays. He's a good player. Right. He's just not good enough with this team to be a difference-making player. And the thing about Kawhi, Stephen A., this is it's a nuanced situation, and I understand why it's hard to explain, because there have been times where he's been healthy, maybe his knee is never healthy, when he's been not injured, when he's not played, or when he said, I'm not going to play the first quarter, you got to bring me in the second quarter. It's been so frustrating at times that Ty Lue is basically retired from talking about it. Mm-hmm. He said, have Lawrence Frank come out and do this. But there have been other times like now where Kawhi is legitimately recovering from a major injury. He had surgery in the offseason. He's not playing right now because he's protecting his knees. He's not playing right now because he's recovering from surgery. But, Stephen A., I understand why this is difficult to comprehend and compute, because he had surgery in May and then tried to play for Team USA in June.
Exactly.
And Team USA took one look at him and said, you can't play. You're not ready to play. And he hasn't played since. Since they sent him home from their scrimmages, he hasn't played since. And by the way, he's not anywhere close to coming back. He's not coming back next week. He's a while away. So if you're a Clipper fan, you're like, wait a minute. You didn't announce the surgery because, the Clippers have to protect him. He doesn't like to have his business out there with his health. Fine. But he had surgery. They don't announce it. Then he tries to play for Team USA, and now he's not playing again. So I get why it's frustrating, but he is recovering from surgery.
Well, let me say this. It's frustrating on several levels. And Molly, I need you to listen up because I want you to know this as we move forward for this season because periodically throughout this year, we're going to be talking about this, okay? So you had surgery, but you tried to play for Team USA. What the hell would you do that for?
It's a problem. It's a problem in selling this whole thing.
That's a problem, right? That's number one. Number two, Lawrence Frank okayed it, supported, respectfully. What the hell were you thinking about? That ain't in the best interest of the Clippers. Thank God he didn't play. Thank God they did send him home, okay? Number three, then he gets sent home, and then you have people in his camp, according to my sources, because contrary to what people want to believe, I have many of them. And what happens? They blame the Clippers. They thought the Clippers were behind the scenes having something to do with Kawhi Leonard getting sent home, which is probably why Lawrence Frank went out there and was so vociferous in supporting Kawhi Leonard because he wanted to make sure everybody knew he had nothing to do with it and the Clippers had nothing to do with that, right? Well, guess what? The Clippers would have been completely justified. I was right here on this set talking about there's no way in hell. I don't give a damn. You got to kidnap him, tie him up, and keep him away from from Paris. The hell no, you ain't playing for somebody else. You need to earn your money playing for us. But Steve Ballmer and the Clippers, if they are negligent or if they are at fault for anything, nothing is more than them letting Kawhi Leonard get away with everything. This brother gets every perk under the sun. Don't get me started with the private jets and everything like that. I'm mad at it, 10 of the last 19 playoff games. When you're never healthy when it counts, but yet you sit up there and you get every perk under the sun. It's problematic. And that's just the end of it. How about the beginning of it? How about how it all started? This man blackmailed the Clippers. You don't sign, you don't go out there and trade the form. You don't do what it takes to get Paul George. I'm going to the Lakers. So what do the Clippers have to do? They throw it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in Oklahoma City instead of a Clippers uniform because this man said—
Stephen, it could get worse. The pick this year is unprotected.
That's right.
Cooper Flag is in this draft.
How about that? Cooper Flag, potentially. Already Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, my MVP for last year. That's who I voted for. Okay, this is who they had, who could have played with Kawhi. Kawhi didn't just come to the Clippers. He sat up there and forced them to trade the farm for him, okay? And then look what you do. You sit up there and you make sure you get your bag. Well, how come you didn't make sure they gave Paul George his bag so he didn't have to leave for Philly? How about that, since you were the one that compelled them to keep to bring Paul George to Los Angeles to begin with? There are so many things that Kawhi Leonard has done. And when we look at a guy like LeBron, let's take a moment to applaud. For this segment, I'm going to call him King James. Don't faint. I'm going to call him King James. Shows up, always ready, prioritizes his health, conducts himself like a professional, always doing interviews later. Why do I bring that up? Last night, Molly, Wendy knows this, ESPN is in the house, Intuit Arena. We're right there. We come there because why? You want to support somebody like Steve Ballmer, okay, who did everything he could to make it his own way and build this arena, right? So you got this arena built, okay? Even though you're injured, you're still available for interviews. You're still available to help to promote the team. What does Kawhi Leonard do? He passes on doing the interviews. He doesn't even do interviews. Doesn't do anything. Doesn't play. Doesn't talk. Doesn't even talk with his own commercials. Doesn't talk to the media. Doesn't do anything. He does absolutely, positively nothing to support or endorse the NBA brand, the Clippers, etc. So I'm going to say it for the last time. He is a superstar when he is healthy. On the basketball court, easily, as far as I'm concerned, a top 5 player on the planet. That's why a superstar is appropriate when it comes to talking about his skill set. I can make a legitimate argument that Kawhi Leonard is the worst superstar in the history of any sport. You can't have somebody like that and it's beneficial, who's going to miss work half the time and does absolutely nothing to promote your product or your brand. He is a poster child for what not to be as a star in any sport, period. And I mean it. And had I seen him in the arena last night, him and his uncle and everybody else in between, I'd have told him to their face. The worst. The worst.